let's talk about something that is not going to go away. This is evergreen, as they call in the news business. But it was an event that took place about a week and a half ago. I'm talking about John Bolton getting named to be the the chief national security advisor to Donald Trump. And just to remind people that the National Security Council is where all of the government's national security apparatus, it's where they generate ideas and perspectives and strategies. And to have a guy like John Bolton sitting atop of that infrastructure, of that bureaucracy, it's terrifying, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've known John Bolton. You and I've talked about him for 15 years. I mean, he's been around always out at the fringe of, the Uber hawks on the right. And he goes all the way back into the 90s. I guess he was also in the Reagan administration. Yep. during the early years of the Reagan administration. So he's been around a long time, and we know a lot about him. It's not like he's one of these blank slates that nobody knows what he thinks and what he's going to do. And even since Trump has been in office, he's been writing op-eds, and he spent a ton of time on Fox News, which is partially, well, maybe completely why Trump chose him, because he'd seen him on there, and he cast him from the shows. And his ideas are very clear. He is, in this particular moment, he has said he wants to tear up the Iran deal, and has suggested in recent years, and not going back, I mean, I'm talking since the deal was struck, that there should be a preemptive war in Iran and regime change.
February, I think he wrote an op-ed to that effect.
Yeah. And he has even been heard in speeches saying that he thinks that, the Israelis should drop a nuclear bomb on Iran. I guess that would really teach them and the world a lesson. He is not one who is averse to nuclear war. He is, over the years, he's many times, as has Trump, wondered why we can't have a preemptive nuclear war. As for North Korea, which is the other, very dicey pending problem, and which Trump is allegedly going to meet with Kim Jong-un within the next couple of months, supposedly, to hammer out a deal, because Trump's the best negotiator on the planet. And Bolton has been very clear about what he thinks about this, and I suspect that Trump agrees with him. That the point of trying to do a deal, the point of trying to talk to Kim and do a deal, is to show that you can't do a deal. Right. I mean, the whole that there, it's like it's a kabuki dance. That yes, we're going to give it our best effort, and then when it falls apart, that will show that what we want to do is the only thing we can do. And what they want to do, and Bolton has been very clear about this, it is preemptive bombing, war, potentially invasion, and regime change in North Korea. This of course.
I don't want to interrupt your role here, but this is one of my pet peeves from the Iraq war days. I just want to remind everybody that for there to be a preemptive strike, there has to be a strike that is imminent coming from the other side.
Right.
And there is absolutely no way or no indication there wasn't in terms of the Iraq war, and there certainly isn't in terms of North Korea or Iran. They'll call it a preemptive strike because that implies that there's an imminent strike coming from them. But there's nothing that's imminent. It's completely rational for North Korea to want to maintain their nuclear arsenal, particularly in light of like what happened to Muammar Gaddafi, for instance, or others. So, or Saddam Hussein. And so, yeah, this is a problem. And this week, the Chinese announced that North Korea was certainly willing to denuclearize the Korean Peninsula, which to me sounds like the opening salvo in this sort of kabuki dance, right? North Korea says, we're already at the point we're willing to give up our nukes. So when Donald Trump shows up, it's going to be that much harder, hopefully, for him to argue that they didn't want to go there and then to justify this strike. I mean, it's sort of fascinating to watch this sort of wind up.
Oh, it is. And I have to be honest. I mean, I honestly believe that Kim Jong-un, and certainly Xi in China, it's clear that they're obviously strategizing together at this point. Kim went to China, took this train ride into China and went there for the first time since he's taken office, and this was kind of a big deal. I mean, it's clear that they're looking at some kind of strategic alliance, at least in terms of these upcoming talks. And if I were to put my money on who I think is the better negotiator in this, let's just say it wouldn't be Donald Trump and it wouldn't be John Bolton. These are not serious people who understand the dynamics. So I think you're probably right. There's all this positioning going on. And, who knows? I mean, I don't mean to, suggest that there's no way out here. I mean, maybe things will work out. Maybe there's some way to do this, but I just feel that it's going to be an accident on the part of the United States. And, the only thing that will, be a positive for us and the world in this standoff will be that if Kim somehow is able to achieve something that he wants other than the nuclear, the nuclear capability that he's clearly been building. And to be honest, I don't know what that would be because of what
Right.
you just said. The lesson that everyone has learned is that if you make a deal to denuclearize, as Gaddafi did, as Saddam did, maybe even as Iran did, if this continues the way that Bolton and Trump want to go, that, you end up being deposed. And so this is the ultimate, strategic protection for any regime. And I think everybody knows that Kim, his primary goal is to maintain the regime, right? I mean,
Right.
under him. So I don't see how that pans out. I'm no game theorist. I don't know where that's going to go, but I find it very difficult to believe the United States has made this decision, and it's not just Republicans or hawks or neocons or anything else. It's been bipartisan all the way to sort of prove to the world that our word is no good. That
Yep.
if you denuclearize, well, then
You're done.
all bets are off. I mean, that's how. So that's those chickens are going to coming
Well,
home to roost.
let's take a break here because I also when we come back, I want to ask you how much of an agenda is it for someone like Bolton to get them to denuclearize versus regime change just because he wants regime change? We got to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more. I'm talking to Heather Parton, the great Digby. I'm Sam Seder. This is Ring of Fire Radio.